My name is Dr. Shannon Anderson, and I'm the manager of the Family Resource Center. And I'm pleased to introduce you to Dr. Adelaja. She is an experienced educator and a curriculum specialist with a strong background in international education, special education, and gifted education, with a doctorate in global and comparative education leadership and multiple certifications, including the International Baccalaureate, the IB Program Leadership, and she has dedicated her career to fostering inclusive and rigorous learning environments. Currently serving as a twice exceptional specialist in Fairfax County Public Schools, she collaborates with educators to support the unique needs of gifted students with disabilities. Previously, she led IB curriculum implementation and advanced academic programming, providing instructional leadership, professional development, and curriculum alignment. She's passionate about equity and excellence, and she strives to enhance student learning through innovative and research-based practices. This webinar will be recorded, and the link and presentation slides will be sent out to you this week. So we are using the Q&A today, so you can type any questions during this presentation into the Q&A, and we will save time at the end for her to answer the questions. I've already opened up the interpretation room for you, for anybody who needs interpretation in Spanish. And we are recording already to the cloud. So I will turn this over.
Okay, good morning, everyone again. Welcome to this webinar. This is a webinar. My role is a personal role because as a mother of a 2E adult who now is a neurosurgeon, but still has so many challenges that I always keep my phone. I never turn off my phone because she's in California to help her regulate herself every day, not some days, every day. Just a reminder as to when she gets overwhelmed that there are things that she could do that we've always done together. So this webinar is just to provide you with the tools to help your children as they grow older. But you have to actually find out which one works for your children because they tell you, when they come out of the this dysfunction of emotional dysregulation, they can communicate with you. So we'll go through it, and the questions will be at the end, and hopefully I'll be able to get through them. The questions that were sent ahead of time are part of this webinar. I've made sure to include the answers to those questions in the webinar, so please listen for those answers as we go along. So in the Q&A feature, describe your child's strength in one word. Describe your child's strength in one word. Anybody can just type in, what's your child's strength? Okay, I'm reading. Resilient, creativity, building, method. Okay, lots of ways, curiosity, creativity. Yes. So as you can see, our 2A kids come with a lot of strength, and we always start with their strengths. Because when we say strength-based approach, when you help them, every time I meet 2A kids, I ask them about their strengths. But unfortunately, a lot of them cannot tell me what their strengths are. Either the teacher sitting by next to them or the administrators will then identify their strength. And that always makes me not happy because we need to focus on their strength so they can start believing that they actually are not bad children. One of them said to me yesterday, I thought I forward, start with their strength and talk about those strengths. So this is our agenda for today. We've done the welcoming, engagement, warm up, understanding emotional regulation and twice exceptional students, proactive strategies for teaching emotional regulation. You have to teach it. You have to proactively teach it before they actually go through emotional dysregulation. Because if you wait for them to teach it, they're not present. They're not able to actually communicate with you because, first of all, most of them are ashamed and they're just mad at themselves that they had to go through this. So we proactively teach it and provide them with the tools to address those emotional regulations when it happens. And then you have to work with schools and other professionals. If you're seeing a therapist, you all have to be on the same page, trying to make sure that everyone understands how to or how to help them help themselves. Again, using the Q&A feature, describe your child's biggest emotional challenge in one word. As you see, I didn't even do, I did sensory overload perfect. So you can do 1 or 2 words, but let's use that. Tell us a little bit about your child's challenges, emotional challenges. Is the child disabled now? Inflexibility, self-control. Somebody said the child was disabled, but I think I can see other people, so I don't think it is. The chat is disabled, but you have the Q&A. We're not using the chat. So use the Q&A, question and answer. That's the sensory overload, misunderstood, anger management, and frustration, impulsiveness. Those are all, yes, that's how some of our 2E kids come across. But when I tell you that when you've met one 2E kid, you've met one. So your 2E kid and my 2E kid, totally different. I always say N equals to 1. One 2E kid is just one 2E kid because they all come with different strengths and different challenges. And so we can't put them in a box. It doesn't work like that. So you, as we talk about this 2E kid, I'm generalizing, but you know your 2E kid. And so you take what works for you, what connections you make with what I'm doing, and that connects with your child, and use that. There's not going to be one size fit all. No, I'm just generalizing this because of my work over the years with several of them, but take what you know will work for your child and leave the rest. So let's take a moment and talk about what is emotional regulation. It's the ability to manage and control your own emotion, including your ability to identify, understand, and respond to feelings in a healthy way. So if you're not able to respond to this, identify it first, know, oh, this is what's going on. Understand, which is very difficult for our 2E kids because their self-awareness and perception of what's going on around them is very difficult. So many times they are misunderstood or they themselves misunderstand what's going on around them. And so it becomes a challenge. And then because they don't understand or they are misunderstood, their response sometimes comes across very unhealthy. The 2E dilemma is that for most 2E students, because of asynchronous development, they're cognitively higher and their problem-solving skills are maybe significantly higher than their ability to actually regulate their own emotions or to actually engage in social interaction. So it makes people wonder, like, oh my God, how can you be this smart and still have challenges with social interaction or regulating your own emotion? That's the 2E paradox and dilemma. And that's what makes them really sometimes misunderstood because people just judge them by either their ability or their challenges, and rather than keeping both at the front end and saying they have exceptional strengths, but they also have exceptional challenges. So now let's talk about common emotional issues of twice exceptional students. This is not an exhaustive list. I just do not have enough room to write down everything, but perfectionism and frustration, which some of you have identified in the Q&A, sensory sensitivities, and emotional overwhelmness. Like I went to observe a kid the other day in the art class, and he was doing well initially, but then the teacher brought paints and all kinds, and the smell was overwhelming. But he was so smart. He said to his teacher, I need to get out. And the teacher didn't understand. And I winked at the teacher and said, yeah, he needs to go. But that's because we've been providing him with the tool, been working with the school to give him that signal of the green flash. He needed to go because he was overwhelmed with the smell. Even though he loved art, he preferred art to music, but the smell of the paint was too much for him to handle. And for some of them, overexcitabilities or intensities, they're so when they're intense about something, they can't get them, you can't pull them. They almost become what they're intense about. And that's sometimes a good thing, but most times it can also be a challenge. The fear of failure, because their giftedness, they know how smart they are, but then they don't want to make mistakes. And so they don't even want to try anything. And if you push, their fear of failure sometimes becomes part of the challenge. They don't want to do it because they don't want to fail. And so they refuse to do it. And the more you push, the more they break down. And you have to understand that every of these issues is a means of communication. They're telling you something without saying anything. The fear of success. I don't want to do well because you know what? If I do well today, the teacher might expect me to continue to do well. Or if I do it well now and I don't do it well tomorrow, then people might think I'm a fraud. I don't even belong here. Why? Oh, today I did it well. I'm surprised I did it well. I never expected to do well. Then I'm not going to do it again because if I don't do it well, then people will judge me. Or anger. Most of the time, the anger is because they don't understand what's going on. They think people are talking about them or people don't want to play with them. And so they're angry without communicating why they're angry. And for some of them, they've had it over time and time. I don't want to be with you. You're not that smart. Why do you have this challenge? You can't kick the ball fast. You can't do this. And so they begin to develop low self-esteem. And it starts young. It starts very young. And the more we focus on those things they can do without addressing what they can do first, that so low self-esteem becomes part of their story. And then for some of them is a strong need to control. They want to control what's going on. It's a power struggle, so you got to give in a little bit so they can also win. They want to save face, so they control. They want to be in charge of what's going on in their life. They don't want to give up control because then they're afraid they might not like what happens because of the past trauma. And so anxiety and avoidance behavior. The anxiety sometimes is because they don't know what's going to happen. We're going on a trip and you haven't told them, you assume that it's going to be a fun trip, but for them, it's like, I don't think I'm going to like this. But they haven't told you, they haven't asked you because you haven't explained the what it's going to happen, why it's going to be fun. We just say that's what and what. We don't say why. We don't say how it's going to impact them. We don't give them time to process. We don't give them time to even say, okay, what if I don't like it? We don't give them time to say, this is what's going to happen. Do you have any question? I know it might be, might be something you're afraid to do. Or let's talk about it. Why don't you want to do it? Tell me the why. Why are you not wanting to do it? Because it might have been that they experienced trauma from the past and never tell you. I went to observe another kid, and in his class, the teacher said he just doesn't like to walk in a group. And then I said, why? Why doesn't he like? She said, if this is an AP class, he needs to walk in a group. And I said, have you ever found out the why? She said, no. I put him in several groups and he doesn't want to do it. So I pulled him out. He's a ninth grader. I asked him a question and he said, you see those three girls? They seem innocent, but from fifth grade, they made fun of me. They made fun of me mercilessly at the playground. I stopped going to the playground because of them, and now they're my AP class. I didn't think I was going to meet them again because they went to separate elementary school, went to separate middle school, but are now in the same high school. So he hadn't seen them in a while. So that trauma of the past is really bothering him, and he just doesn't want to look because he's now so much taller, but he remembers all that. And for most of them, executive functioning struggles. That's why my child's biggest challenge: organization, time management, collaboration with other people. All those stuff hold her back. Oh, how much time is this gonna take? I don't even know if I can do all this in the time. Once they hear the big picture, they're already overwhelmed. Like, how am I going to get all this done in one day? It's helping them to chunk it, hearing from them. Why is it something that you don't? Let's chunk it. Let's identify all that has to be done today or within this time. And let's put the other ones in the yellow zone and put it in the red zone and kind of chunk it so they start seeing that everything does not have to be done in 1 second. And the time, they can also time themselves, put it on the calendar, use all that. I've done this webinar about executive functioning challenges in the past, so it's on our website if you want to read more. But those are the things, those are the common issues that creates this emotional dysregulation that we're here to hear about. So unique emotional barriers for autistic 2E students, those are the kids that the schools call me for the most. Not to say that they're the only ones who experience emotional dysregulation, but these are the students who schools are having the most difficulty handling because of the sensory issue that leads to dysregulation. Those sensory issues, sometimes you can't predict it, and it might happen when you're least expecting it. But they will not also prepare you ahead of time to say, what? You changed the rule, we're doing this, and I don't want to do this. But then they have the meltdown. And then we wondering what happened. And then difficulty identifying and verbalizing their emotions for 2E autistic students, that's very difficult. They have no tool because for some of them, communication, verbal communication is one of their areas of challenging. And so to identify it, verbalize it becomes part of that issue that causes this emotional dysregulation. And then the executive functioning challenges that affects their emotional control. Because I can't do this within this time, or they hear somebody saying, okay, I'm gonna in 20 minutes, we should be done with this. Hearing that 20 minutes or whatever the time that the teacher has placed might not be referring to them because they might have extended time. But that word time just means, oh my God, I can't get it done, so I'm not going to do it. And then they're already crying. Emotional regulation, dysregulation happens because somebody hadn't taken the time to help them understand that, okay, I'll talk to you first. This is what's going to happen. When I start talking to the class about how long they have to do it, don't worry about it because you have extended time. And you can also brainstorm first. You don't have to get it all done. Having that one-on-one conversation because you understand who they are before you talk to the class helps them. And then go back to them and remind them, remember, I said to this, or I said to your sister, we're going to do this. Remember, you don't have to do it, but you can do this. Talking to them ahead. Understand you almost have to be their brain to think before what is going to make them actually have this regulation, because I know my child and I know that if I don't go talk to her ahead of time and I make generalized statement, it sticks with her. And it's like, I can't do it. But I wasn't referring to you. I was just going to come talk to you. I already talked to you, but I also have to remind you. And the social misunderstanding and frustration, that's the biggest challenge. The social cues, they want to play, they want to be part of a group, but they don't know how to. Like one kid, high school kid also, was telling me she doesn't have friends, and I went to observe her. She walks into the class, some kids were already in the class, and she goes to sit at the very end to the left. And I said, oh, why are you sitting there? She said, I'm afraid to go to the front. I said, you can't make friends. Do you expect them to come to you at this end? How about you go closer so that as they come in, they can say hi to you? And initially it was like, I don't want to do it. I said, okay, I'll sit next to you. And she said, no, I don't want you. I said, okay, how about you go sit? And if nobody says hi to you when they come in or when they're close to you, then you can go back to them. But as soon as she went closer to where the other kids are, everybody called her name. Hi, how are you? And it was like, because she was afraid that she was misunderstood. Nobody wants to be my friend, but that's a misunderstanding. But the other kids thought that because she was away from them, she didn't want to interact with them. So all this miscommunication makes it difficult for them to actually understand what's going on in the world. I'm giving you an example. One kid said to me, it's very hard for me to understand the rules of engagement with with neurotypical people, because they keep changing the rules all the time. So I think I understand it today, and then I go to a different setting, then the rules changes. I'm a cruise child, and I do this, and it's okay here, but it's not okay in this setting. And it's true, because we have several rules for engagement in this different setting. We have to remind them, we're going to this place now. What you did here might not work, but watch out and see what other people are doing. And if you're not sure of what's going on, you might ask them a question. Can you please clarify? And it's hard. It's a difficult task for them. So in the Q&A, describe what emotional, your challenge, those of you coming in. I did not hear from everyone because some people were just coming in. But if you have an autistic child or you're just coming in late, let's go back and see your child's emotional challenges. Describe it using the Q&A. Yeah, I see a lot. Yeah, that's very, the frustration, yeah, that's really impulsiveness. Yes. Extreme sensitivity. Oh, somebody wrote sensory overwhelm, noise, smell, visual, a lot. Yes, that's very blaming others for everything because they don't understand. Teachers not understanding. It's the lack of understanding. They do not understand what's going on in our world. We make the rules. We expect them to know the rules and to remember that the rule changes every time when they just finally got this rule. And then the next setting, the rule changes. It's very overwhelming for them because we are constantly changing what the expectations are. And in every room, in every setting, it's different. So it's almost like thinking ahead. Has he been in this room? Has my child witnessed this before? What do I have to do? These are the signs of emotional regulation, dysregulation, meltdown, shutdowns, avoidance, hyperfocus, like almost you can hear their breathing. You can hear them breathing like, oh my God. You listen, you watched for the body shutting down. You watch for that eyes rolling, like what? Like their eyes almost once, it's almost like popping out. All their head is tilted down. The body gives you all this message. So every emotion they're feeling, they're communicating it by their body language. Sometimes it's so difficult for you to go from, oh, 1 minute they're happy and now this is happening because you just were tuned into the joy of getting there, but things might not be what they expected, and communicating with them like what's happening, what are you feeling, do you need to step out, do we need to talk about it, rather than say, oh, you're going to be okay. No, they're not going to be okay because their body's already telling them they don't want to be here. Finding out the why when their body is already telling them, or their hands are moving, or they're flapping really hard, or they're breathing really hard, or all that body language is telling you, I'm about to go shut down. I'm about to, this is causing me a lot of stress. But we cannot disregard it. Just because we are okay or everyone else is okay doesn't mean they're going to be okay. We need to find out the why. Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? What is it? My child used to have to go to the bathroom, run to the bathroom all the time, and then I have to run after her. Like, why? What's going on? I'm so anxious. What are you anxious about? Let's talk about it. What is it? No, I can't do it, mom. Okay, why can't you do it? Tell me, what is it that, do you want to go? Do you want to go home? Do you want to sit out? Do you want to do it later? Ask all those questions because it's you become their brain. I wish I could tell you that it's easier. I always say God gave me my child, my second child, and now I have to share her brain with her in order for her to function. So what are the strategies for all TUI students and specific one for autistic students? For all TUI students, we have to use emotional chat as long as, even as old as they can be. Because when they're already dysregulated, you cannot talk to them. So before they become dysregulated, using an emotional chart, even the one you create yourself to kind of, or emotional will to say, okay, let's talk about the different emotions because you think you understand the emotions or they do, they might not. Just even bringing that awareness of that we all have different emotions and that you might not be doing what they're doing or feeling the way they are feeling about the emotions because somehow you know how to manage or your emotions. They're not there yet. And they might not be there. But just using that emotional wheel and the emotional chart to say, these are the different emotions that people feel. But for some of us, we can manage it. That's why we don't have the meltdown or because we're adults. But you are a child or you're walking through this or because of the challenges you have in this area, it's difficult for you. But let's talk about the emotions and pause so they can actually identify some of those emotions. Like, what does this emotion mean? How am I supposed to react to this? How have I reacted to this in the past? And then emotional will is another way. Story-based teaching. Okay, what happened in the past that makes this an uncomfortable situation for you? Help me understand. Okay, you did this last time. This is what I use most times when I go to school. Tell me a little bit more. Oh, you are in a dark room. Why are you in a dark room? The light bothers me. Or when, you know, I'm sitting next to the window. I don't want to have too much light. It really bothers me. Creates me, just talk about the story. Tell me, walk me through what happened in the past that makes this very traumatic for you or uncomfortable for you. Okay, let's talk about a different scenario. So if I do this, does it help? If we do something different, does it help? You're basically helping them to come up with a story to describe their emotions. And for autistic students, visual emotional skills. The zone of regulation, if you've never seen a 5-point scale that goes from 1 to 5, they can pull it out. I've seen kids, a parent or teacher can pull out 1. 1 means I'm calm, and then 5, how are you feeling? And they can start showing you. At this, when I did this, I was at 5. Okay, how do we go from 5 to 4 to bring it down? But you can't do it when they're already dysregulated. Hear me out. A video to model or to recognize the emotions in others. Like, oh, let's watch this video. There are several videos that are like, even a cartoon, it's about to feel upset. Okay, look at that emotion. Is that how you feel when blah, blah, blah? Let's look at this emotion. Oh, does this help to get you from here to here? You can use a video so you're actually engaged in talking about it before they get into it. You have to identify the sensory emotional triggers because for some of them, they can't even tell you. Just like for this kid that I went to observe that told me the smell of the paint, well, that was an emotional trigger. He did not like that paint. He was fine when they were using crayons. But when the teacher brought out the paint, I said, what could help in the next time? He said, if she had told me that today we're going to be going from watercolor, from this to watercolor, then I could have just said no. I want to, but he was smart enough to say this is bothersome to me, and then asked to go to a different room to complete his artwork, but not all the time. This was over a period of almost 5 months to get to this place where he could identify it and say, okay, this is too much. I'm pulling out his green flashcard to say no, can't handle this, but I'm going to go to a different room to do it. Their body awareness mapping. When you're shaking your head, you're rolling your eyes, your body's moving, and you can't, and you're about to just like give up, like just being aware. What is going on with your body? How can I help you contain your body? Because they can't even understand what's going on then, and their body's just doing all this stuff that they're not aware of. And you have to help them map out that body. Like when you do this and your body is just one kid who jumps a lot when he's so dysregulated, he's jumping, and that's his way also to self-regulate. That's body mapping. The core regulation strategies. This is core. I say you are coping with them. Modeling calm responses. How do you model calm? Because one kid raises his voice so loud he doesn't even realize he's doing that. So it's just modeling, and he said, "I can't hear you. Are you whispering?" No, okay. Can you hear me now? When I just showing him that when he raises his voice, other people are like, "Oh my God, I don't want to be around you," because he's not aware. Providing emotional check-ins. They can check in before they have. You can actually map it over time. Like at this stage, like I tell schools, 20 minutes of being in a setting that it's in an unpreferred setting is a lot. So checking in with them before that 20 minutes, like, oh, you've been here for 15 minutes. You have 5 more minutes and we'll take a break. Just doing it before they have that meltdown. Don't wait till the 20 minutes to check in. Be aware of, okay, how long do you expect them to last in this unpreferred task? Because that's usually where the emotional dysregulation comes in place when they don't want to be in that setting. So you have to ease them in, but also build in the time to check in before they have the meltdown so you can pull them out. It might be, oh, we're going to this game or to this basketball game. It's going to be loud. If you stay in the room for 10 minutes, I'll make sure I pull you out. But check in before the 10 minutes because that 10 minutes is just a long time for them to and they don't have a sense of awareness of time. So just doing the check-in right before you said they could stay so that you know, okay, is this about to go down? Do I need to pull them out now before the 10 minutes and just say, I'm glad you lasted this long. We'll try again. You're moving, easing them into that setting where they don't want to be. A silent co-regulation strategies, you can also help them to slow breathe. My child loves this even at this old age of us. Before she shares if things that are bothering her, I'll say, can we just count to 10 and breathe slowly? Over the phone, we do this. And I'll say, just breathe slowly with me. And then take a walk. Sometimes just take a walk while you're talking to me. For some of them, it's just drawing or coloring. For some, it's doing puzzles, just something to just calm them down while they're not talking. While they're doing that silent co-regulation strategies, you're not saying anything. You're just giving them that quiet time to breathe, to walk, or just walk around the lake or something, to draw or to color, listen to music for older kids, or write in a journal. I have a kid who writes in a journal now, just that's the way he communicates with his teacher before he needs to go, and then he will leave the note on her desk and just take his green pass out. But that's his silent co-regulation. He goes for 5 minutes and he walks around and he comes back because he needed to just like breathe and do that without disturbing anyone. Predictable scripts for self-care. I feel like my heart is really racing so fast. I need to just close my eyes and just breathe hard, or I need to step out of this place at this time. Just give them the words, the I statement. I'm feeling very anxious. I need to step out. Not just the feeling. What do I need to do? Because they might just need to move out a little bit for a while and you step out there and just watch them. Please don't engage them when they're trying to do this because you're just watching to make sure they're okay without saying much. You can actually stay a little bit so you're seeing them, but they can't see you because they're in control at that time. They're trying to regulate it themselves. But if you go there and start talking to them and say, are you okay? And I tell schools all the time, are you okay? Can I get you this? Oh, it takes longer. Just give them a few minutes and they'll be fine. Now, how do you create a predictable environment so that you can predict what's going to happen? It's still difficult, but we're creating it awareness of what might it look like, an environment that makes it less likely that they will be emotionally dysregulated. Structures with predictable routines and transition. Those transition is often so difficult for them because they might be enjoying the activity, finally getting into it, and then it's time to transition. You might have told them we have 20 minutes, but it took them a long time to even get into the activity, and now it's ending. That might just set them off. So just watching out to see, okay, because sometimes it just takes them a little bit longer to get into what they're doing, and just being mindful of that transition. You might just have to go to them and say, I'm going to give you 5 more minutes because it took you longer. Because everyone else will be stopping. So while they're cleaning up, just finish. And in 5 minutes, I'll come find. Just having your radar around them. Because that transition is just the timing for them to just wind down, close up, closure. It's always very important to say, you're going to come back to this tomorrow. I observed a kid come into the classroom. It was, the teacher gave them opportunity to play on the video or whatever computer for 5. It was supposed to be 5 minutes while she got class ready. But that 5 minutes to him, he just got in, and the 5 minutes he was playing, he actually just like started playing the game because I was watching him. He turned on the computer, and others had been playing before he came in, and then it was time to go, and he's like, I just started. The teacher could have just avoided that by saying, I know you just came in, and others had been playing before you came in. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, a little bit extra while they're cleaning up. But so they had 5 minutes before you. I'm giving you 5 minutes. That would have just saved the day. Visual schedules and timers for transition. It might just be the hourglass timer or something that they can see. You have 3 more minutes. They can see it. I would suggest that you have 2 more minutes. Maybe you need to start cleaning up. Even on the playground, reminding them. Outside, you have 30 minutes for recess. 10 minutes into it, you might just say, I don't think you should be starting a new game. In 5 minutes, you'll be cleaning up and getting ready to go. Just helping them, so that they have time to process all this. The stopping right away, it doesn't work for them. for most of them. Quiet areas, flexible lighting, noise canceling headphones. For some of them, that's helpful. For some of them, the noise canceling headphones, they don't even like it because it just does something to their ears. So find out, does this work for you or it doesn't? Because just assuming that because it works for other people, it works for them doesn't mean no. No, it's individual. N equals to one with every true E kid. But just find out what works for you. Because I asked a kid, I said, does the headphone help? He said, no, I don't like it. It really bothers my ears. Okay, good. Thank you for letting me know. What else can help you? I need to move out of the room when it's overwhelming. And I went, and his room was actually above a preschool class where kids were crying. So that was not helpful also. Practical strategies that you can use at home. I'm going to go through this one at a time so you can actually see, but you're going to get this at the end so you can go back and look over it. Visual solutions, LED lights, light filters, or sunglasses. Even as far back, I was looking back at pictures of my second child, even as far back as 3 or 4, the light used to bother her. And so I looking at pictures from the past and I saw she always had the sunglasses. I was the one paying for that. I didn't know she needed it then, but she always asked for it, and I'll give it to her now. I didn't understand that it was because it just helped her to feel a little bit of not too bright, so she's not squinting her eyes. For some of them, it's stuffed animal, and we take it away. I took my child away even up because almost up to 6th grade, she was walking around with Nozzle, her stuffed animal. So we had to agree on where could Nozzle go and where could Nozzle not go. Nozzle could go to you when you get to the school. You can take it on your on when I'm taking you to school, but you can't take it on a bus ride. You can take it while you're waiting for the bus, and I bring it back at home. Just helping them know that because it's therapeutic for them to have something that helps them to not get to that. It's sensory. It just helps in them. Some of them is just the busy fingers. They're just touching their hand, doing that, or you give them something to help them. Gel puzzles, stackers, anything. I've working with your school to say this is what he uses at home. Is it possible to have it at school? I went to a school where the librarian actually has a room full of all this stuff where kids can come and just meet their sensory needs. For some of them, essential oils, not for everybody. Lavender, there's some that you buy and it really sets them over. Or floral to diffuse natural scents, scented party. There's so many things you can try. But make sure you're talking to your child and say, tell me, is this working or it's not? And if they say it's not working, don't bring it back. Tactile solution, tagless or seamless clothing, take those tags off or buy ones without tags. Luckily, we're living in a world where most of those tags can be taken off or you can buy one without. And then for some, the texture of the clothing might just be driving them crazy. So might mean they're wearing the same clothes over and over, but just buy more of the same so that they're not wearing, because if they find something that suits their body and is soft on their skin, they tend to just stick with that. Rather than just buy one, just go find more of the same thing that they like. Just buy it in different so they at least can change their clothes, and you have to just explain to people that just works for them. That's what works for them, and they don't have to be like everyone else. Tactile play mats, I saw that like in the library I went to. Sensory mini mats playing in the grass. So for some of them, it's just the touching, and you might just bring that grass still in or the sand just so they can just get that tactile, sensory needs met. Noise reduction headphones, like I said, sound activated sensory equipment that just has this little sound that they just help them to calm themselves. There's so many other ways now that you can just that once they turn it on. I saw one watching, listening to music, reading a book, and then there was just a small sound that was very soothing. But it's based on every child's need, different needs, different kids. For some of them, they have to chew gums. Okay, like a teacher was very, very, this was very difficult for her to comprehend that he could chew his gum, because I said that's how he takes care of his oral sensory needs. He chews his gum, and I said, if he's not chewing gum, he's going to find something to chew. He's going to chew on the pencil, chew on something, but he needed that oral sensory need met. It could just be a toothbrush, electric toothbrush that they just, go to and use all the time so it can just meet their sensory need. But you know your child. For some of them, it might just be pretzel, salty. Different needs are met through different. Or for some, it might just be the straw with thick smoothies, just taking that little sip, helping their olfactory, their mouth to just feel that sensory need met. For some of them, interactive exercise. Like the kid who likes to jump, I said to the mom, get a bouncer, something for him to bounce. Once he gets him home, he can just do that for so many times until he just gets that need met, or a rocking chair or something that's set up somewhere where he can just go and take care of that sensory need. Strategies to meet physical needs. For some of them, awareness of where their body is. Some of them like the tight hug, some don't like it. Okay, some like the deep pressure, some do not. Some just love the fem touch, and they will even do it to you when you're not. Just telling people that that's how he's getting his or she's getting his a sensory need. So it seems as if they're trying to hurt you, but that's all they're looking for, is to get that firm touch or firm handshake with you. And for some people, they withdraw really fast, but being able to communicate that I'm so sorry, he's just trying to get his sensory needs met, and vibration, jumping, skipping, weight lap pad, weight friend, where it's just a stuffed animal, but it's weighted, they carry around. And this is not for everybody, like I said. For some kids, it works, but you're gonna be willing to just try as many things. But walk with the school, balance, stepping stone, pencil grips for some of our kids, and the list goes on. I was just thinking of so many things that has worked in the past. This is not an exhaustive list. You have to find which one works for your child. Talk to them. Okay, trampoline, bounce board, swings. My neighbor's son will be on the swing for 20 minutes almost every day right after dinner. But that's how he gets that physical need, sensory needs met. Okay. The growth mindset and self-talk. I can try this again, even when they failed. So just because they failed doesn't mean you give up. You say, okay, let's see. Can you try this again? Yes, I can try this again. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, just your willingness to try. And if it doesn't work, we'll keep trying. And when you say we don't want to try again, that's okay. And reframing challenges as opportunities. Oh, I don't want to go here, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do this. Okay. What if you like it? If you don't try it, you might not know if you like it or not. What if there's something that makes you like you want to try something new? You might like a skill that you never thought you would like. You might like something that you just reframe it and see, tell them. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you like to try it again or no? So I was talking about the emotional regulation, and there in this slide, there's so many, and you can do it on your own. And they're PDF, but I included it because this is something I use with schools all the time. And there's so many free emotional intelligence exercises that are for free. So I included it here so that you guys can go back on your own and try this out. Communication strategies. Remember, every behavior is a means of communication. I hate this place. I don't want to be around here. This place makes me anxious. I'm afraid I'm not going to do well. Those are all means of communication. But the way they communicate with us is what makes it a challenge, is what makes it causes that emotional dysregulation because they do not know how to. I feel I need, use your emotional wheels, set up a calm down space. For my child, she would just go upstairs and just sit down in the bathroom. And I used to tell everybody, do not. We just used to walk by and see, is she still there? Is the light on? And sometimes she'll turn off the light. When it's about 10 minutes, I could just go upstairs and check on her and say, are you okay? Are you still okay? Yes, mom. Or just, give me a sign. Just knock on the door and know, okay, you're still dealing through it. And because it's time for them. And the older they get, they want to save space. Because first of all, they don't like that they're not able to regulate their own emotions. Nobody has this meltdown. Why am I the only one? So giving them that little space that they know that's their space, honoring the space, not going to them, setting those boundaries like, okay, this is your space. You can't just go everywhere and destroy things in the house. This is your space. You go here to regulate your emotion or to have your quiet moment. Let them know where it is. So, or else they just walk around the room and it becomes very, very distracting to everyone else. But walk with them on this is why. The guided breathing exercise is magical. You can count to 10, you can close your eyes, you can, rock yourself while you're doing it, but it really helps to calm the endorphins and everything that just causes that heartbeat to, and then walking, just taking it could be a walk downstairs, it could be a walk just outside the house, it could just be pacing. Like I told the teacher, when he's pacing behind the room or walking just back and forth, it's also helping him regulates his emotions. So as long as you're not bothering him and say, well, you're done, you can come down. Stop saying that because he knows when he gets tired of walking, he will join you guys. And sometimes he might not get tired. And he's just, but as long as it's in that space, because the more you try to control that, what you've already said they can do, the space, the more they want to get out of the space. Because now it's bothering you. I don't want to be here. Just pretend you're not seeing them because you're giving them that space and say, these are the boundaries. You can move back and forth at the back, or you can do this. As long as you stay within those boundaries. And for some of them, it might just get a coloring book. I know a mom, I said, just go to dollar store and buy several coloring books or puzzles or something that helps him calm down and give him the space to do it. He might just finish it and come back. And then you just say, when you're ready to talk, you might not need to talk at that same time. You might talk later when you see that it's not going to send them back to where they were. The I can method for teaching emotional. This is very important. You have to investigate, build awareness. That's after. Build awareness around dysregulation. Recognize and understand the signals as they build. Like, what is it? Because you're trying to investigate, like, what is their body doing now? You can look their eyes, keep track of triggers. It could be transition, unexpected changes. Somebody's coming to visit, you forgot to tell them. Oh no, that might not work. Share observations without being non-judgmental. I noticed that blah, 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 you were really moving your hand up. Is that something I can help you with? You're not judging, like, why were you moving your hand? Don't ask that. I noticed. Normalize check-ins in child's preferred method of communication. If the child wants to communicate with you by writing a journal, or they want to talk to you, or they just want to, you talk and they nod their head, whatever means of communication they prefer, just use it because you're trying to investigate. Was that noise too loud? Did the smell bother you when I was making this? Just trying to investigate so you know how to help them. And then investigate the body signals because, it might just be my stomach hurts, my head hurts. Those are all body signals and it's about to happen. Then you communicate with them. Find the ways to communicate with the child. Use the right emotional words, giving the child opportunity to reflect. That's why I said bring the emotional, if you don't have the emotional wheel in your house, use that. Teach them all those emotions and find the right word to say, is this what you were feeling? Give them the truth, but you have to show them all these emotional words before. Give a child a sense of control to lead the communication if possible. Can you look at the chat and tell me how you were feeling? Do you like to take more time to process the way you were feeling? Or then using numbers, a number of 1 to 10. How were you feeling? 1 to 5. You can different ways. Can you draw the way you were feeling? Some of them will draw big eyes, meaning they were so shocked that they were actually expected to do that. Or use the emotional wheel. Like any of this stuff, you have to use it before. And then so when they investigate what is it that was happening, give them the tool to communicate. Just don't be the one talking for them. Show them, give them time to process. And you can also find a blank one and have them build their own. Like, okay, what are the 5 emotions that you want to talk about? But show them one and have them build their own. Teach them self-advocacy by coming up with a structure to recognize when help is needed. Like I said, some of the kids use their flash green for, I'm okay, red, I need to get out here. Whatever that works for them, use it. Asking for assistance and offer a suggestion. What would you like to blah, blah, blah? Give them choices. 1 or 2. Don't make it too much that they can't even process it and think of what they want. Then you activate problem-solving skills by using cognitive flexibility and determine best strategies. The size of the problem. Was it 1 to 10? How big was this a problem? Was it a minor problem? in a scale of 1 to 4? Because when you say big or small, they might not even have, but how much of this problem was what that? Is this something that you overreacted or something? Why did you react the way that you reacted? Was this such a big problem or was this something that we could have addressed in a different way? Perspective taking, how do you think it made that other people feel when you walked around the room and threw all their stuff? How did you think, how are we going to make this better? What is it that we can put in place? Would you like to write a note to the teacher to read to the class? What is it that we can make? It just keep helping them to see the other people's perspective, because for so many of them, they only see their own perspective and they don't see what, but we have to also help them make changes so other people begin to see them in a different light. We're navigating now through the dysregulation and how to return to a regulated state. So when they're going through this dysregulation, you're trying to figure out how do we navigate so we can get back to it. Awareness of their body, mind connection, counting, breathing, straw breathing. For some of them, it might just be your little straw, just drinking water from that straw just helps them to just slow down. Allow breaks or alone time, sensory tools, steaming, fidget, pacing, rocking, deep pressure type, whatever helps them to navigate through this dysregulation. They, as you practice, and they will start to identify which one works for them in different settings. It might be a couple of ones, it might not just be one, but talk to them. And then you have to partner with your schools and professionals. You cannot do those things at home. Find out what the school is, whatever you're doing at home, because home is usually the safest place. And sometimes home is where they show you all the things they never do outside. They have a meltdown, they do things that nobody sees at school, but communicate with them. Sometimes you're the one seeing this and the school does, they can hold it together or they can destroy the school and come home and be great. With either way, partner with the school. Don't say, I never see that at home. Because the child might just be doing it at school and saving his best self or his best self for you. Or the child might be doing it at school, at home, and saving and having a great day at school. But whichever way, you need to share with the school, because just because you're not seeing or they're not seeing it doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay? Discuss with the specific challenges you're seeing that the school doesn't, very specific, not he had a meltdown. What was the challenges? What was it that you asked him to do that created the challenges? Or what is it that he told you that you were questioning him about that made him? Because sometimes your questioning also looks as if you don't believe them and they have those emotional dysregulation. Concrete example of behavior. Really specify the behavior. Describe triggers. When I did this, he screamed harder. Or when I asked him questions, or when I just, continue to say, are you okay? Whatever it is that is a trigger. Or on our way here, he told me he didn't want to go and I kept saying, oh, you'll be fine. Whatever the triggers is, describe it. Share coping strategies that works at home. Share it with the school. You can say, I can model it with you after school while my child is in the car or while my child is doing, can I come model it with you? Can I come show you how we address this at home? Ask for feedback. Are you using it at your school? Are you willing to try this? Can you please try if he ever does this at school? Because it works at home. And if it doesn't work at home, ask for feedback. Or it doesn't work at school, what is it that you did at school that made it difficult for him to, calm down because it works at home? Collaborate with the school. Your school counselor, your psychologist, your speech and occupational therapist, you're all working together to make sure that this is not something that one person is doing and the other person doesn't understand. And these are all resources that, when you get the slide, when you get this, you can go back and check them. And then 2E Minds, occupational therapy can help. All these are tools. But like I said, when I started N equals to 1, you can never say just because you worked with one 2E kid, all those strategies works with them. And remind schools of that, because they might have had a kid in the past where it worked and it doesn't work for this kid now. So thank you all. That was a long talk for an hour. So I'm going to take the questions and answers now. And of course, you reach out to the school. And then if you need, me to observe your child or me to work with the school, because sometimes I observe the kid at the parent request and I work with the school to come up with a strategy that helps the child. Thank you all. Now we can take questions and answers.